Well, having a backside like Kim K or J-Lo is big business. People work out to achieve the look. Others pay for lifts or implants, all of which is often scrutinized, criticized, and objectified.
Journalist Heather Radke's new book, Butts, A Backstory, is a look at how big a role one body part plays in our society and culture. And she joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
It seems kind of odd even talking about this, but it has become such a cultural thing. Talk about how this has changed over the years, Heather.
Yeah, so I got interested in writing and thinking about butts because I grew up with a big butt, and I'm a white woman from the suburbs of Lansing, and I noticed over the last 30 years how much has changed about what butts mean. And then as I dove into the history of butts, I really realized how many eras of meaning the butt has held. And looking into that history really helped me to see how we create racial stereotypes about bodies, how women's bodies come to mean so much when really they don't have to mean anything at all.
Well, I guess the meaning is in the eye of the beholder. If different cultures find different things attractive, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's true that in different geographic locations, there's different ideas about butts and bodies, but also in different historical moments, butts have meant different things. In the 19th century, there was a really intense interest in Black women's butts, and the creation of this idea of the hypersexual Black woman was kind of imprinted onto the butt as a stereotype that became very prevalent and was codified by the so-called racial scientists of the day. And it's a stereotype that stays with us, and you can still see it in much of popular culture now.
And talk about it, the Victorians, you forget, they did this bustle, and that was came from somewhere, didn't it?
Yeah, it's true. So the bustle is one of the things that I was first interested in when I was writing this book. I found the fashion to be such a strange one. It's essentially like a big fake butt that you strap onto your body in the 19th century, and then you wore a big dress that basically made you look like you had a big butt, or some people thought you looked like a couch. That was a thing that a lot of people used to say. And one of my questions was, why did people do this? And there's a lot of different theories about it. Some of them are about like the way that the frills and the fanciness helped to actually like employ dressmakers who were losing out to the home sewing machine. But there was also this idea that the bustle was in some sense an echo of this woman named Sarah Bartman, who was brought up from South Africa in the early 19th century and displayed as a freak show in London because she had a big butt. She was a Black woman, and really her story and her body, and eventually the autopsy performed by a scientist named George Cuvier, was the beginning of the racial stereotype I was talking about of the big-butted Black woman as the hypersexual woman, which has been so damaging to so many people.
Well, you have in pop culture, you have Sir Mix-a-Lot, you have Buns of Steel, you've got twerking. Is there something wrong with these things? I don't recall hearing any big outcry that you might hear in today's social media world.
I mean, no, there's nothing necessarily wrong with any of them. I think what I'm trying to offer is a way to explore these things that can sometimes seem a little bit silly or frivolous, and to look at what else might be going on when sort of we as a culture get interested in something like twerking or Buns of Steel. What are we wanting when we are wanting Buns of Steel? And to some extent, maybe we just like want to have a nice butt, or we want to, feel good about our bodies. But also, there's other things going on. The exercise trends of the 1980s were about control. They were about a way of, taking ownership over your own body and showing the world that you were in control of that, which, for some people was really exciting, and for other people was really hard because they actually couldn't create Buns of Steel. So I talked to some fat aerobics activists from the 80s who, they didn't feel like they could participate in the exercise trends of that time of Jane Fonda and Greg Smithy's Buns of Steel. So they set out on their own to create situations where they could work out with other fat women and enjoy their bodies and feel free in them. So it's not about it being bad or good. I think it's just sort of an offer to ask more questions and get more curious about what's going on with our bodies and in our world.
Well, for more, you can follow Heather on Twitter and Instagram. Heather, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks so much for having me.
It is